Here we are. The favorite topic of your skeptical uncle during Christmas dinner. The ultimate weapon of central bankers and journalists who are too lazy to do their research. The magic phrase, Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. It's a classic. If you buy Bitcoin, sooner or later someone will look at you with that mix of pity and superiority and say, be careful, it's a pyramid scheme. When they run out of new suckers, everything will collapse. They are right to be afraid. Ponzi schemes are devastating. They have destroyed lives, families, and empires. But there is a small logical problem with this accusation. To define something as a Ponzi, it must follow precise rules. And if we analyze these rules, we will discover that Bitcoin is the exact opposite of a Ponzi. But the most disturbing part isn't this. The disturbing part is that if we analyze the rules of a Ponzi scheme, we discover there is another financial system that follows them perfectly. A system you use every single day. A system you have in your wallet right now. Today, we bust the myth. And I warn you, once you see the real Ponzi, you won't be able to unsee it. To understand if Bitcoin is guilty, we first need to understand the crime. Let's go back to 1920 in Boston. There is an Italian immigrant, elegant, charismatic. His name is Charles Ponzi. Charles has a brilliant idea. He promises investors a 50% return in just 45 days. How? He claims to buy international postal reply coupons in poor countries and resell them in America. A complex arbitrage, a secret formula. People go crazy. They bring him their life savings, and Charles pays, he actually pays. The early investors receive their money with the promised interest. They tell their friends, who tell their cousins. Charles becomes a millionaire in months. But there was a trick. Charles wasn't buying any postal coupons. Simply put, he was taking Mr. Smith's money and using it to pay Mr. Jones. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. This is the only true definition of a Ponzi scheme. Returns for old investors are paid exclusively by the money from new investors. There is no product. There's no real profit. There is only cash flow. For this to work, you need 3 fundamental ingredients. Memorize them well. A central leader. You need a Charles Ponzi or a Bernie Madoff running the secret ledger. Secrecy. No one must know what is really happening with the money. The how must remain a mystery. Promise of stable returns. I guarantee you 10% a month. Stability attracts the victims. Good. Now let's take these 3 ingredients and apply them to Bitcoin. Point 1. The central leader. Where is Bitcoin's office? Who is the CEO? Who do we arrest if the system collapses? There is no one. Satoshi Nakamoto vanished. Bitcoin is run by thousands of independent computers all over the world. In a Ponzi, if you arrest Charles, the game is over. If you arrest a Bitcoin developer, the network continues to run. There is no head to cut off. First point, failed. Bernie Madoff scammed the world for 20 years because his ledgers were locked in a safe. No one could see the accounts. Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a glass ledger in the middle of the village square. The blockchain is public. Anyone, at any moment, can download the entire history of every single transaction from 2009 to today. You can see where every single Satoshi moves. How can you run a secret scam on a public database that anyone can audit in real time? It's impossible. Second point, failed. Charles Ponzi promised 50% in 45 days, guaranteed. Does Bitcoin promise you anything? Absolutely not. In fact, Bitcoin promises you volatility. It promises that you might lose 50% by tomorrow morning. There is no monthly dividend paid by Bitcoin. If you make money, it's because the asset's value went up in the market, just like a house or gold. You are not being paid with the money of those who enter later. You are selling a scarce asset at a market price. Third point, failed. So, no leader, no secrets, no guaranteed returns. Calling Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme is like calling a cat a barking dog. It is simply a categorization error. Yes, but your skeptical uncle will say, to make money with Bitcoin, you need to find someone willing to buy it at a higher price. So you always need new entrants. Sure, that is called a market. It works the same way for real estate. If you buy a house for $100,000 and want to make a profit, you need to find someone to buy it for $200,000. It works the same way for gold. For Apple stock, for Picasso paintings, every asset without a dividend relies on supply and demand. Saying Bitcoin is a Ponzi because it needs a buyer is like saying the housing market is a Ponzi. It is economic nonsense. But do you know where the definition of a Ponzi fits perfectly? Get ready. because now we are going to look at the real scheme. Let's go back to the definition. New money pays the old. Let's look at public pension systems. Whether it is the Seguridad Social in Spain, the INPS in Italy, or Social Security in the US, the language changes, but the math is the same. How do they work? The money they take from your paycheck today, is it invested for your future? No, it's gone. It is taken and given immediately to today's retirees. The system relies on one single promise. You pay the old today and hope that tomorrow enough young people are born to pay you. In Spain, in Italy, in the US, everywhere in the West, demographics are collapsing. Fewer young people, more elderly people. The base of the pyramid is shrinking. And when the base shrinks, the Ponzi collapses. But let's go higher. Let's look at fiat money, the dollar, the euro. How is money created? It is created by issuing debt. The state issues a debt bond, treasury, promising to pay you back with interest. But how does the state pay that interest? Simple, it issues new debt. They print new money or sell new bonds to new entrants to pay the interest to the old creditors. It is a system that must grow infinitely. If they stopped creating new debt tomorrow, the entire global financial system would collapse instantly, because the money to pay the old debts simply does not exist. They need constant inflation. They need new suckers to buy the debt. Here's the great irony. Central bankers, politicians, mainstream economists point their finger at Bitcoin screaming, Ponzi! But this is psychological projection. They are accusing the only lifeboat of sinking while they are steering the Titanic. Bitcoin is not a Ponzi because it has no debt. No one owes you anything. When you hold a Bitcoin, you hold the final asset. It is not someone else's promise to pay. It is pure, finite, verifiable mathematics. A Ponzi system needs to run faster and faster to keep from falling. Bitcoin can sit still for 10 years and one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin. The next time someone tells you it's a scam, just smile. Because now you know they aren't describing the money of the future. They are describing the money in their pocket.